In a business landscape where agility is key, customization has evolved from a luxury to a necessity. Odoo Studio has always given you the power to tailor your tools, but with Odoo 18 and its latest updates, we are pushing boundaries. Now you can customize faster with greater precision and control, streamlining your workflows like never before. Whether you are optimizing Odoo for your own operations or developing custom modules for others, these tools will boost your efficiency. Let me show you how. Hello everyone, my name is Robin and I'm a business analyst at Odoo. In this talk, I will showcase the latest improvement of Odoo Studio through a live demo. Afterward, we'll open the floor for a Q&A session to answer all your questions you might have. Don't hesitate to scan the QR code and I'll answer all your questions at the end of the talk. Let's start with our views. With each new version, we strive to enhance them. This year, we focused on key views like Kanban or Gantt views, while making updates to field settings and widgets. Let's see that into action in a database. So, for this demo, I'll play the role of an Odoo partner. I'm a one-person company. I don't have much time, and I need to be efficient. So I decide to create industry-specific module that I can re-import on my client's database. As I have experience in the group trips organization, I will start there. You can see that I have already a trip application here that I will try to customize with you. Let's jump into our form view. We can directly see that we have some critical fields here missing. First, it could be interesting to add some dates to our trips. So it's quite obvious that we need to add clear start and end dates here. To do that, I will add date times on my form view. Here I want to add date time with a widget date range. So to do that, in Odoo, we have a small trick. You need to add actually two date times. First, I will add a date time for my end date. So this will just be there to store the value of my end of the trip date. So I can put it invisible. I will then just add another date time on which I will put my trip dates. I will add my date range widget. For the start date, I will keep the trip dates, so I keep it empty, and I will store my value for my end of trip date on this field invisible that I just created. Let's play with the settings here. I will change the minimal precision to days and the maximal precision to years, let's say. This will ease the process of navigating in my date picker. I can also display the value a little bit better with a condensed display, remove the seconds because it's not relevant in my case, and activate always range to always have to add two dates because, of course, we always need an end date here. So let's see how it works. I can play with the date picker. As you see, I can move in time with my maximal precision. And let's add data on different records. Okay. And a last one here. Perfect. So now that we have this new data on my records, it could be interesting to be able to visualize these records on a timeline. I will then go in Studio and enable my Gantt view. I will have to define start date. So this is my field where I store my start date and an end date. Now we can start customizing here our view. I will put a clear label here. I will group by default by stage and give him a sparse display just to be a little bit more useful to use. Let's see together how works the new Gantt view. So you can now select the period of time you want to display, but you have also the power to zoom in the period, so to visualize the data a little bit differently. So here I have 1 year of data that is shown to me, but I can navigate and see it on a week view. I can even zoom more, and I will have it on a day. I can navigate, check my data, and come back to today's date with the focus button. All right, that is done. Now I want also to enable another view, a little bit more pretty when I open my trip application. So I will enable the Kanban view here. So the Kanban view has been improved, and the Kanban card actually has been improved. So now the drag and drop of fields is way more easier and precise. You can now add a side panel. You can add a footer, and even a menu here. And you see that the structure is way more precise than before. I can add some information here. First, an image for my trip. Yep. Let me just reload my page. Image. All right, and then select the correct widget here. I will then add my price. Could be useful to have that here. I will put it just under my trip description, and maybe some tags in the footer. Up, right here. All right. As you can see, my view is way more pretty than before. I will put it as default to have it opened each time I open the application. All right. Now that our views are correctly set up, let's move on with our approval rules. So over the years, we've helped dozens of clients with their implementations, and always advise them to avoid overly restrictive approval processes when they could. First of all, these processes could be tricky to set up. You often needed dedicated user group to make them work, and this could increase the complexity of the implementation, for most of the time low added value. And also, this could completely paralyze your company once the key user were unavailable, for example. Fortunately, with Odoo 18, this is no longer an issue, and we'll see that together in my application. So coming back here, I will access my form view, and I want to avoid selling trips that are not well prepared. So I want to put a clear approval process on my application. To do that, I will add a button here to be able to change the status of the trip. I will link it with my server action right here. And I can change the visual of my button with a bootstrap class, just to make it more prominent. Let's add another button, mark as passed. I can also link it with my server action. And here we go. Let's now add some approvals on this button. So, as previously, I can add my approvals from this side panel. Here I want, for my first step, to ask my administrator to check if the trip information are correctly filled in. All right. As you can see now, it's no longer needed to add just a user group. You can directly flag a user on your approval. I will add other steps, but for that I will go to the Kanban view of the approval rules. That will help you to better visualize the different steps you have to go through for a particular action. Here I will ask for financial check from my user Alessandro, and I will say that this is not needed if the trip price is under 3,000 euros. I will put it, of course, on the second step, and then we'll put the final check from Fabien. Once the check has been approved or refused, I want the admin of the database and the user responsible for the trips to be notified. Okay. Now my approval process seems good. I can test it with you. So let's go here and check this trip. So all the information are good. I'm logged in as the admin. I can approve this. But you see that some approvals are missing. Let's see in Alessandro's database, you can see that I have already a notification and an activity saying that something has to be done on this trip. He can check, say, okay, the price seems good. I can approve, but still we have one approval missing. And if we go to Fabien's database, we see that he also received a notification saying that you have to do something on this record. He can make the final check and validate. As you can see now, the status of my trip has been changed to bookable, and Fabien also notified Marc Dimo and Michel admin that the trip was ready to be sold. That's already it for the approval, but yeah, not totally. We have also now the possibility, as I said, to avoid to block your company once one of the key users goes on holiday, for example. If I go here, I can access the Kanban view of the approval steps, and I can now delegate my step. If I'm going out of office for 2 weeks, for example, I can say, Fabien will be in charge of this step until I come back. And now Fabien is added to the approvers. Once the date we set up arrives, it will be removed and the step goes back to normality. All right. We arrive to the last step of our module customization. Once the module is ready, I want to be able to export it. And now we have also the possibility to export the module with some data that will help for your module customization and for the user training. Let me go back here. So to be able to export your module, first of all, you need to activate the debug mode. To do that, you go in the general setting, all the way down, and click on Activate Developer Mode. You have the technical menu that appears, and in this menu, you find lots of things, but you find also the Studio export. So here, let's remind the use case. I play the role of an Odoo partner. I create a module for my clients, and I want to help the user to train. To do that, I created some demo data. The trips I created with some price, some dates, images. This is typical demo data. This is something I want to import in a test database, but I don't want to import it back in a production database once my user goes live. So I will flag this demo, this data, as demo. I will create a new data set for my trip stages. This is not demo data, actually. This is something I want my user to be able to use in their day-to-day work. I don't flag it as demo data. It will be reported when I import in a production database. Same for my trip tags. And once I've done that, I can now export my customizations, but I can also say that I want to export them with data and demo data. This will give you a new zip file. And if we go look to the zip file, we now have data, so the field view menus that I created, but also we have new data here for my trip stage and tags that will be imported when I import my module. Same for the demo data. I have now an XML file for my trips. Okay, and once I go into another database, I can simply toggle Studio and import my module from here. And if I'm in a test database, I will import demo data. If I'm in production database, of course, I won't. To wrap up, we've explored how the latest features in Odoo Studio can help you customize more efficiently. From more flexible approval rules to powerful export features, these updates are designed to make your work faster, easier, and more scalable. You may have noticed that I didn't touch about the report editor. That's because my colleagues Charlotte and Rosalie will showcase that in the next session. So if the subject interests you, I suggest you stick around for their talk. So now I'll leave you with this thought. So Odoo has never been more flexible than it is today, and the possibility for customization will only expand. Our mission is clear, is to equip you with the right tool that empower you to elevate your business. As Odoo strives to be a game changer on the market, we are happy to give you the best tool to change your game too. Thank you for your attention today, and feel free now to ask all your questions or to reach out if you need further assistance. And yeah, thank you. I'm now happy to address all your questions. Okay, I can ask myself my own question. Perfect. Yes, maybe someone has a phone or. Let's check what we have here. Okay. Is Studio a really strong solution for going live? I don't really understand this question. Of course, you should make all your tests, your customization in a test database before going live. It's not the goal to make your modification in a production database directly. But once you have tested everything in a test environment, of course, as I showed you, you can import all this customization in a production database and it will work just fine. How does Odoo handle studio changes made to multiple models for migration? And have those shown as related fields on the other form? This is a really long question. So how we manage studio customization for migration. So we have migration scripts that take into account the changes in Odoo standard, of course. In some cases, if the customization has been done a bit crappy or a bit, lots of customization in different ways, it can be blocking. We, in some cases, have no choice than clean the code and restart the customization. But most of the time, if you do things properly, the script handles the changes between versions. Right now, they okay, yeah. So yeah, in the worst case scenario, if your customization doesn't work anymore, we'll deactivate the view during the upgrade. So the view is still there; it's just deactivated, but you can find it back. So we can also support you in recreating the customization if needed. Can I add computed fields with Studio? You can. You just need to handle some Python, but yeah, we handle computed field. If you want to discuss that further, we can see each other at the Studio booth, and I can give you a demo of that. How to employees from abusing the module and making changes. Yes, so no all users have access to Studio, actually, and that's what we want to do. We don't want every user to be able to use Studio. Studio can be tricky, and some user might not be trained properly to use it. So in general, we try to keep that for the more technical profiles of the team. Um, but yeah, the most important is not train everyone on the Studio. It's not relevant. We need to configure the environment once. It's not the goal that everyone goes in the database and plays around to make some modifications. Know that we can export Studio customization. Can we export configurations? No, you can't export configurations. Actually, what you should do is to make your configuration first on your production database, duplicate it for testing, and then make your adaptation directly on your production database. But always make your configuration, duplicate to a test environment, then you can play around, test the solution, and make your adaptation in the production environment to make sure that everything is configured properly before go live. Can I automatically delegate at the employee level when, okay, be assigned to my approval when I apply for time off? No, the fact that you can automatically designate someone that will be delegated, to which we will delegate your approvals when going on time off is not available yet, unfortunately. So for now, you have to go manually and say who you want to be able to approve this level. So it's still something that need to be taken into account. And of course, this is something that you should think of before going to too much levels of approvals. For larger enterprise clients in the past, can you indicate how Studio is recommended to be used or not used? Okay, this is a very large question, but I would say there is no issue in using Studio in a large company. The question is more, the issue could come when you try to mix Studio with developments. For example, if on one side you are developing big applications, big features, and so on, with lots of lines of code, and on the other side you are applying lots of customization with Studio, at some point the two different customization could cause issues. But once again, it depends on how you do things. Most of the time, if you prepare your work in a test environment before going live, it should not cause any issue. For migration, I already answered the question, but if you want to discuss that further, we are at the studio booth for the next 2 days, so don't hesitate to come and we can address this point. When we implement Odoo, all the consultants from Odoo said to avoid Studio and creating app. Can we create app? You can create app with Studio, but we say to avoid creating something that already exists. Most of the time we have requests of the clients that want to recreate an application that is already existing into Odoo. And most of the time we try to find workaround because it decreases the complexity of the database, it decreases the complexity of the implementation, and in the end you gain money as well. So the goal is not to say you can't use Studio. Of course, Studio is there and it's a great tool if you want to create an application and if you need to create an application, but it's not the solution to everything. And most of the time it's easier to change a little bit the way of working than changing completely how the standard works. Okay, I think I won't be able to cover all these questions, but we will, as I said, be available at the booth all the day, so don't hesitate to come by and I will try to answer all these questions for you. Thank you very much.